Iran temporarily restricted parts of the Strait of Hormuz during live-fire naval drills, while indirect nuclear negotiations with the United States were underway in Geneva. The restriction lasted several hours and was described by Iranian authorities as part of a scheduled military exercise. Commercial traffic was not fully halted, but parts of the waterway were placed under temporary operational control. The timing matters. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical energy corridors in the world. Roughly one-fifth of globally traded oil passes through this narrow passage between Iran and Oman. Liquefied natural gas shipments from Qatar also depend on it. When access to this corridor becomes uncertain, even briefly, markets react. Energy traders price risk before disruption occurs. Insurance premiums for tankers can rise within hours. Freight costs can adjust. Import-dependent states monitor the situation closely, especially in Asia and Europe. This was not a blockade. No ships were seized, no long-term closure was announced. But the activation of a choke point during active diplomacy sends a signal. Iran demonstrated that it retains the capability to affect a strategic artery of the global economy, while negotiations continue elsewhere. What we know is limited but clear. The naval drills involved missile and maritime components. Iranian state media framed the exercise as defensive and routine. There was no official statement linking the maneuver to the nuclear talks. What we do not know is whether the timing was coincidental or calibrated. Military exercises are often planned in advance. Diplomatic rounds are also scheduled. Overlap does not automatically mean coordination, but in strategic geography, perception carries weight. The Strait of Hormuz has long been central to Iran's regional posture. It sits at the intersection of energy flow, maritime security, and great power presence. The United States maintains naval forces in the broader Gulf region. European and Asian economies remain structurally exposed to supply disruption in this corridor. Even a temporary restriction reminds all actors of that exposure. This matters because nuclear negotiations are not conducted in isolation. They unfold within a wider security environment. Signals sent at sea can influence calculations at the negotiating table, even if indirectly. The restriction did not trigger an immediate supply shock. Oil continued to move. There was no sustained interruption of traffic, but the episode reinforces a structural reality. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a shipping lane, it is leverage. Control does not require closure. It requires demonstrated capacity. As long as a large share of global energy flows through a narrow channel adjacent to a single state's coastline, that geography will remain strategically relevant. The current status is calm. Shipping traffic has normalized following the drills. Negotiations in Geneva are ongoing. No formal breakdown has been announced, but the underlying dynamic remains unchanged. Energy choke points concentrate risk. Concentrated risk creates strategic weight, and strategic weight shapes diplomacy. This is not escalation. It is positioning. The world's energy system continues to function, yet its stability still depends on a narrow stretch of water that can be activated at short notice. That is the structural takeaway. This is International News Network.